So it's a pleasure to celebrate Philippe for a few days and to have all of you gathered around him, and this will lead to very, very beautiful conference, I'm sure. So I had to work hard because the CV of Philippe is very heavy. So first he was a student of École Polytechnique, and he was ranked first when he entered in 1980. And when he graduated from the school, he was also ranked first for France. So this is maybe not so impressive, I don't know, maybe it's very impressive also for foreigners, but for French people, at least for me, it was very, very impressive. But then it didn't stop there, it was just a start. So Philippe has a trajectory which is linked to IPHT, this lab. So he did the PhD in IPHT with Jean Bernard, here in the first row. Actually, I will tell what was a PhD about. It was a conformal field theory and integrable systems. And in particular, the Ising model in periodic with periodic boundary conditions. If I didn't make a mistake, if I make mistakes, you can correct me. So he was so brilliant that he got a job before finishing his PhD, if I'm not mistaken. So he got a job in '88, so he'd make the young people dream of this period. And then he went to a few postdocs in the USA. And part of his research during all his career is linked to the US. In particular, he was a postdoc in Princeton. And then he was professor in California, in California, in Berkeley, in North Carolina, Chapel Hill, in University of Urbana-Champaign, in Ann Arbor, and Stony Brook. So this makes a very strong link to the US. So he had a prize of physics, like Laplace medal, and he was invited twice in the Congress of Mathematicians, which is extremely prestigious. So it's also he's very, very prolific scientist. He has published more than 150 publications. In a field which is seems very arduous at least for me, it's mathematical physics, and also he's organized a lot of conferences, more than 20, and gave a huge amount of talks. So about his career and the subject of his research, it will be, I suppose, the theme of the conference. As I said, he starts with conformal field theory with Jean-Bernard Zuber. And then in Princeton, when he arrived, he did a postdoc with David Gross. And it was the time where quantum gravity was exploding. So he tackled the subject with discrete quantum gravity, with random paving of the space-time. And then theories which were more continuous, like Liouville theory coupled to matter. So it was a time where these approaches were exploding. Then he came back to IPHT in 1991, and with Itchikson and Zuber, he studied the quantum gravity, but from a random matrix model and enumerative geometry. And he has also paper with Ginsberg and Zinjustin on quantum gravity in 2D. And it's the beginning of the writing of what we call the Yellow Pages, which is this very big book that you can find. And even I started to read at some point. It was so well written, with Mathieu and Sénéchal from Sherbrooke University, so which became some kind of a studying book for students, generation of students. And then he has a very long collaboration with Emmanuel that you will probably hear about during the conference, and Olivier about pliage, folding and meanders, And recently they have a new paper with Bertrand Duplantier as well on this subject. He has, during the PhD of Jérémy, who is also an organizer, they studied geodesic distance on random surfaces. And the PhD of Jérémy was also part of the work with Emmanuel. And so in French, it looked beautiful, so I will read in French. Les propriétés des cartes aléatoires sont décrites par des bijections colorées. Donc ça, j'ai bien aimé. So if I translate these properties of random card is what maps are described by colored bijections. And this is quite a famous result, very well cited. He also studied the combinatoric of gas de boucle, gas of loops, and quantum algebras with Paul Justin. And so it was just about the conjecture of Razumov-Stroganov. Then he has a very big part of his work on integrable systems, discrete integrable systems, and cluster algebras with Rinat here, which is very still alive in his work. And what I remember is this has links with polynomials of McDonald's, like it's a recent work. And then, lastly, he has worked on Arctic phenomena. And again, I say in French, there is a sentence I like very much. Les phénomènes arctiques, les coins du domaine sont gelés et cristallisés alors que le centre est liquide. So in English, the corners of the domains are crystals, which are frozen, and the center is liquid, disordered. So Philippe is a fantastic scientist. He's one of the stars that we have at IPHT, but he's even more than a scientist. He's always a smile and a very great presence, and if you chat with him at the cafe, and it's really very nice. And to illustrate this, I don't know whether you went to the IPHT garden and you see the beautiful roses that we have there. So last year, around the same period, there was a very important discussion on whether we had to trim the roses or not. And part of experts in the lab said if you trim them, they will die. And part said if you trim them, Philippe and Rinat said, no, it's just time to trim them. So they did it together. They trimmed the roses and just have a look at how beautiful they are this year. Okay, Philippe, it's a very happy anniversary, 60, and still super young. And and I wish a fantastic conference to celebrate your career.